After being released from the Wishing Well Sanatorium, all Gregory wants to do is make the children happy. So he reopens the old ice cream factory, and all the unappreciative brats are reprocessed into the flavor of the day. That is the synopsis to Ice Cream Man from 1995, which we'll be watching together tonight, my friends. This is another episode of the Creepy Kroly.
I must apologize, but we have to keep him here. You shouldn't have come here. You shouldn't have come here. But we have to keep him here. You shouldn't have come here.
Hey yo, hope everyone's doing alright out there. I'm recording this on a Sunday, so it is ready for you on Tuesday. I mentioned this before, but I tried doing this recording of Ice Cream Man, before, and it kind of just didn't work out with the timing, trying to sync up with the commercials and stuff, and, So I figured I'd give it another try, because I had such a good time doing it, so we're going to do it. Some announcements. Got Horror Hound Weekend coming up this next weekend on, Friday the 24th through the 26th. I'm peeing my pants with excitement. Doug Bradley's going to be there, who played Pinhead. I'm probably going to get a photo with him. And Bruce Campbell, Skeet Ulrich, Matthew Lillard, Dee Wallace. I'm probably just going to have to just have a bag of underwear with me. So I got that going on. I know Kevin from Midnight Terrors is going to be there, so I'm going to be hanging out with him. Kevin, I can't wait to meet you, brother. I had such a fun time with you, and I'm probably going to give you a hug. I'm not going to lie. So I hope that's okay with you. It's totally okay with me. Nathan, I know, from the Discord you're going to be there as well. Can't wait to meet you. Probably going to hug you too. You're a friend. Thank you for, your support. Thank all of you for your support. Unfortunately, you're not all going to be there, so I can't hug you, and get into shenanigans with you. But I can't wait. I can't wait to tell you just all the cool shit. All the people I met and new friends, and it's gonna be great. I saw Scream 6. I think 2 weeks ago now. Yeah, it's been a while, but it's a funny story about this. My friends Brian and Nicole. Hi, Brian and Nicole. They were supposed to come up to my town to see it with me, and I say this about just me because my wife is not interested at all. Like I said, I'd be wasting a ticket because her face would be buried in my shoulder the entire time. So, and I love her for that. That's totally cool. But we were supposed to have a big snowstorm. They reported we were going to get inches and inches of snow. So, it was an hour drive up to my town. And I was like, don't come up here. I don't want you to do that. Drive all this way and then you get snowed in and they've got cats and stuff. And so I'm like, let's meet halfway. I'll meet you, you know, like 40 minutes from my house, and then I think it's only like 35 for them, and like that way, if something happens, it's not as bad, and that way they're not too far away from home. So we saw Scream 6. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Probably they liked it too. Nicole loved it. And like, it's definitely one of the best sequels. I'm not going to give spoilers, but it was very tense. It was. I think it's better than 5. I felt that 5 was very safe. I won't say it was unpredictable. I kind of saw, where things were going. But this one, this kind of played it safe as well. I think there was a lot of speculation that it was going to kind of be more and kind of, have more of a twist to it than it ended up having. And I'm saying that without spoilers again, But it's still a damn good movie. I mean, these Radio Silence guys, they know what they're doing, man. And they've already announced 7, the 7th one, and I hope it's the last one, like as this, like for this trilogy. If they can bring it home with this next one, I mean, this trilogy is going to be like amazing, as a whole thing. And this new Halloween trilogy that David Gordon Green did, if this Scream 7 is, this new one is amazing. I mean, this trilogy is probably better than David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy, And I don't love the new Halloween trilogy. Like, I have my issues with it. Not the obvious issues that you would think, because I know like a lot of people are divided on Halloween Ends. But I mean, we're being spoiled right now. Like, we're getting such good shit right now, and it's cool, man. We're eating well, and I'm excited. I'm so excited for this like explosion that's happening right now. I mean, Scream 6 opened. It was the biggest opening it's had, for the franchise, and I think it was like a $46 million opening. And I don't know if that's counting inflation, because obviously, the first one in 96, I think movie tickets were probably like $2 or something. And, there weren't as many people on the planet, so there weren't as many tickets sold. So I don't know how the numbers work there, but I mean, this one had the biggest opening of the whole franchise for a number 6. I mean, that's pretty crazy. How many movies are doing that? The only ones I can really think of. I don't think Marvel counts, because they're not even... It's like a universe. It's not really sequels. But, the only like success story that I can think of like that is like the Fast and Furious movies. Where they didn't actually get big until like the 5th one. They were big, but they were kind of like under the radar, kind of little action movies, and then they became like huge worldwide blockbusters. And I feel like Scream is like turning into like a huge worldwide brand now. Like Ghostface is absolutely up there with Freddy and Jason and Michael, and like especially with these franchises that are kind of dormant right now. I mean, we've got Crystal Lake coming, I think next year, right? I mean, I even think Ghostface is like above like Freddy and Jason currently. I mean, he Ghostface is kind of, like the horror icon of our kind of this generation. I think, So, yeah, how wild is that? So it's super cool. I'm glad it's this franchise too, and not like, I don't mind Saw. Saw had its moment, and they're making the other one. I think it's coming out this year, like in October. Yeah, because I covered it in another episode. But those aren't like fun. Those don't belong like. I'm trying not to get too spicy here, but I'm glad it's Scream. I'm glad it's Ghostface that's this, like, cultural icon and not something a little more, you know, you know what I mean. I'm happy it's Scream. And I do like Saw, but there's some shit that's just, like, too much for the horror genre. That's it's never going to be like it's never going to be like digestible to the masses. You know what I mean? For better or worse, it's not. There's just some shit that's not for everybody, and Ghostface is one of those ones where, like, a lot of people can get into it. You know, like, just like Freddy is fun, and Jason's kind of fun. Michael's a little fun. You know, some of the movies are silly. You know, like, that's fun stuff. Leprechaun. You know, but when you get into, like, Saw and Hostel and, like, I don't know. So here's the funny thing about Scream 6, though. So I told them, Brian and Nicole, not to drive up to my town. And then fucking John from Horror Dads, I think I've mentioned him a bunch of times. Love him so much. And Jamie, the other horror dad. John called me that Saturday and said, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And I go, "Nothing. What you doing tonight?" And he goes, "Well, I'm going to be up in your town, taking my niece to see Scream 6 at 7:30. And I go, "You got to be shitting me." Because my town's like an hour and a half from where he lives. You know, but he's got family up in my town. So I'm like, holy shit. You know, what a treat that he's going to be up my way. So he goes, "Hey, I'm taking my niece to see Scream. Do you want to go with us?" And I'm like, well, I'm seeing Scream 6 with my friends Brian and Nicole in this other town. That's an hour away. But after I see it, I can drive right back home to my town and catch the movie with you and your niece. And John was like, "Yeah, this will be my second time. I already saw it last night." So I see Scream 6 with Brian and Nicole, loved it. And then I said goodbye to them, hugged them. You know, solid movie, solid experience, fun time in the theater. Hopped in my car and raced back to my town to see Scream 6. Wow. To see Scream 6 again, like an hour later. As soon as I raced back to my town to see it again with John and his niece. And I met his niece. She was awesome. So we're sitting there as two 35-year-old men, you know, and I think she's 16, 17 year old high school student, and we're watching Scream 6 together, and we're like, this isn't weird at all. Not weird at all. And we had both already seen it, and she hadn't, and it was just like, no, you know, this is cool. This is cool. I was wearing my Scream t-shirt. John was wearing a Scream hoodie. And his niece was just dressed like a regular, like, person, like a regular citizen. And it was like she was taking two 35-year-old grown man children to the movies. But we had a fantastic time. I had a great time seeing it again. It was funny having already seen it and John having already seen it, so we could kind of like pick apart the things that we had laughed at, you know, already in our heads. You know, there's a couple things I can't get into spoilers, but it's a good movie, man. The opening is fantastic. It's you know, that's Samara Weaving. She's a really good actress, man, and I totally forgot she was Australian. And yeah, great opening, great little twist on the formulas of the franchise. You know, I can't give spoilers out. Maybe I'll do a spoiler episode. I don't know. But yeah, very solid movie. There's some stuff that I wish I could just joke about and pick apart. Specifically, one actor who's in the film, who is an actor I love. Actually, he's in a few movies where I just think he's great. But he's got a couple moments in this where me and John are just like, what is going on with this guy? So we did that, had a fantastic time. Then we met up at a bar afterwards. He dropped his niece off, and we met up at a bar, me and John, and had a few beers and just dissected the movie and talked about it and talked about what we liked and didn't like, and I think it's a solid entry in the series. I mean, I put it up there in the up near the top. I think I had mentioned my official ranking in the Horror Dads Discord. They have a patron Discord. I'm a proud patron, by the way, of the Horror Dads, and you should be too. Check out their podcast, man. It's like one of my favorites. Yeah, Scream 2 is still my number one. And then the original, the first one, would be my second in the ranking. And then, man, I mean, I think 6 might be next. It might really be. And then probably 4. And then I think 5. I mean, 5 is good, though. So maybe 5 and then 4. And then I put 3 last. I don't like 3. It turns out that John loves 3. I think it's his favorite of the series. Which is cool, That's what makes us all of us unique, all of us as fans. That's I find that stuff very interesting. But Courtney Cox's hair in that movie, that's not the reason I don't like it. I mean, it's one reason. But it's funny. So we drank a couple beers. I ended up doing karaoke, because if you get a couple beers in me, I do karaoke. That's just what I do. I mean, I don't think I'm like fantastic. People tell me I'm pretty good. But the trick is to just be drunk. That's really, if you're not drunk, it's it's like Popeye needs a spinach. That's so I don't feel that it even counts really, because it's I don't even feel like I'm up there. I'm just like being an idiot. So, and I'm really good at that. But John had mentioned a movie to me, kind of a not found footage, but kind of a pseudo documentary, kind of horror, kind of fake documentary style film called Horror in the High Desert, which he recommended. And I had heard about this. It came out in 2021. I didn't hear like spectacular things, but I was digging into the reviews of it. And plus, since he mentioned it, I'm like, well, it's, I trust his tastes. Well, except for Scream 3, I guess I have to, specify that. But he mentioned it, and I looked it up, and I'm like, apparently this is pretty damn good. So I watched it, and holy shitballs. Horror in the High Desert is absolutely fantastic. I saw it on Amazon Prime. Highly recommend it. Proper scares. I mean, not jump scares necessarily, but, there's a intrigue and a mystery to it that feels very realistic. It doesn't really treat the audience like idiots. It's a proper, like, chill movie. Like, it'll send chills up your spine, and, the main character is someone you actually sympathize with, and, it's a unique character with a unique situation, and you believe, especially this day and age, especially with the acting in this movie, too. Like, there were certain scenes, I was watching with my wife. I shouldn't have made my wife watch it. Fortunately, she didn't finish it. She had to go to bed early. But I totally forgot that this wasn't even like a real documentary. Like, all the actors were very convincing, and it was just like, wow, for an independent, not that I was expecting like garbage or anything, but for this type of thing, you know, you have to kind of suspend your disbelief, and this was like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to, like, knowingly kind of trick yourself into believing that you're watching something real. But this was like, I was totally with it from the beginning. I was, like, locked in, and I was like, yeah, this feels legit. This feels absolutely like something that happened. And the way it's edited, the way that it's put together is very legit. It feels like something, you know, like that you would see on, you know, like on like a Netflix documentary or a Peacock, you know, like true crime, you know, documentary. And, you know, it just kind of like spirals into this kind of like nightmare story, and really excellent. I was very surprised by it, so I highly recommend that. Yeah, I loved Scream 6. Also, I forgot to mention, I really wanted that goddamn Ghostface bucket, the popcorn bucket that they were giving out at movie theaters. And so I saw it first at a Cinemark with my friends Brian and Nicole. And I was going to get that bucket. Because John, of course, got his bucket. So I have to have mine, too. I don't know if Jamie got a bucket from Horror Dads, but, you know, I wanted mine. So I'm at the Cinemark. They're sold out of them. They said the pre-orders right now, they're not going to be until August. And I'm just like, you got to be shitting me. Like, that's, you know. So that bummed me out. Movie was still terrific, you know, but I wanted that damn bucket. So I go to, and Nicole wanted one too. So then I go to my hometown to see it with John and his niece, and that's at a Regal. And I'm like, maybe I'll have luck there, because sometimes they do goodies like that. They give out posters, you know, for, you know, premieres and stuff. So I'm there, and I'm like, any chance you guys have the Ghostface bucket? And they're like, no, Regal isn't doing that. And I'm like, how am I going to get this thing? Because I want it in my life. And I turn around, John waltzes in with he's just swinging his bucket like he's just the happiest little boy in the world. Like he's just like carrying a pail, you know. So I'm jealous, you know. And he's putting popcorn in there, and it's Sour Patch Kids and whatever, you know. I'm not really jealous. But I just, he's so funny, man. I love that guy. John, I love you if you're listening to this. You crack me up, man. I think he said he was going to eat soup out of it and cereal. So I'm going to need pics of that. Anyway, so my friend Nicole, she's in the Horror Dads Discord. She finds them on the Cinemark website, and they're not going to be ready till August, but this is how awesome of a person she is. She buys one for me. She bought one for herself and for me. She bought two. So I don't know if they're going to be here until August or whatever it's supposed to be, but she got me one, and it's just like, she's just the best person in the whole wide world, because I'm going to get one, and, you know, I'm going to probably, you know, put it next to me while I'm sleeping. And that's not going to be weird at all, especially for my wife. I don't think she'll mind. You know, I just won't have it, like, facing her. That way when she wakes up in the middle of the night, you know, she's just isn't alarmed or anything. But yeah. I want that damn bucket. Some cool things coming up as far as episodes. You know, I have a lot of cool friends that are supporting me in this endeavor. When it comes to my writing, you know, in this podcast thingamajig that I'm just kind of, you know, doing. So the topic has been brought up a couple times, you know, if I'm going to have guests on, you know, and I've been flirting with it. I don't know if I want to. And I don't necessarily want it to just be me talking for 2 hours. And, you know, I don't know if that's a format that you guys are interested in, just me babbling. But I am open to guests, and, you know, I'm super pumped that, you know, you meet certain friends along your journey on this planet, and you have a bond with them in certain ways. You have a special thing that you share, and some friends it's horror movies, and my friend, you know her in the Discord, the Creepy Kroly Discord. Her name in there is I Can't Today, but I've always known her as Tiffany. Miss Tiffany is what we're going to be calling her on this show, on this establishment. She's been one of my best friends. She's my wife's best friend, but she's also been one of my best friends since like 2010, I think. And quickly became a very good friend when we started bonding over the Wishmaster movies. There are 4 of these movies, and I love them to death. I think we watched all 4 of them together. And they're just a riot. So we're going to do a deep dive on all 4 movies, me and Miss Tiffany. And I can't wait. I can't wait to... I'm happy that she's my first guest. She's such a good friend. We're going to be probably trying not to laugh the entire time. We're probably going to be consuming alcohol. And I think you guys are going to crack up. But it's going to be kind of like a 2-parter thing, because we're going to be doing a Tubi Tuesday with the first Wishmaster. And, all 4 of them are on Tubi, so I highly recommend you watch all 4 of the Wishmasters on Tubi. But we're going to be watching the first one together. And then dissecting the entire franchise right after. So, it's going to be like kind of a 2-episode extravaganza. And I'm so, I'm really thrilled. It's going to be great. I can't think of a better first guest. She's always supported me with my writing, and I have a novel that I'm going to be announcing soon, and she's actually read a very crappy first draft of it. It has since been kind of finessed into something different and better, and but she was one of the first ones that was really like a supporter, and really in my corner with it. And it's so cool that it's like we're like old people now. And we're just gonna have a good time, man. I hope you guys have a good time too. She's hilarious. And we're just gonna be just a couple goofballs watching a goofy horror movie. Speaking of goofy horror movies, I wanted to thank Marcus and Luke from the Review to Death podcast. I got to meet these gentlemen. I had such a fantastic time with them watching. I watched the 1999 movie Virus just to kind of refamiliarize myself with it, because I hadn't seen it in a while. It's the Jamie Lee Curtis kind of sci-fi horror, kind of Terminator, Resident Evil-esque movie. But we talked about it on their show, on their podcast, Reviewed to Death. Great podcast, by the way. Definitely check those guys out. But I'm so happy to call them friends now. That they're great guys. Had such a great talk with them. I'm thrilled. I'm excited to be on their show in the future, and it's just so cool. But it's just so funny. We talked about Virus, and I was watching it, and it's a silly movie. I think it's safe to say it's a little silly. The premise and just the shenanigans behind the scenes. I don't think a lot of people were very excited to be there, and it was supposed to be something and ended up not being. But it's just so funny because Jamie Lee Curtis was in it, and then she ends up winning an Oscar last weekend, and it's just so crazy that it's so deserved, and it's so nice that this person, she in particular, someone that I grew up watching her, in the Halloween movies, and True Lies is a movie I love a lot. She's amazing in that movie. That's an Oscar-winning, role. I can't believe she wasn't. Was she even nominated for that movie? She should have been. She's awesome in that. Halloween, Prom Night, Terror Train I love, The Fog. you know, she's just so many. I love Halloween H2O. I think she's great in that. I haven't seen Knives Out yet. But anyway, she wins the Oscar, and I'm just like, she's the living queen of horror, and she deserves it. And I just think she's hilarious. She's such a cool, like, activist. You know, she's not just an actress. She does, you know, she has other endeavors, and she's just a cool person. And, you know, I'm just so glad she won. She's the living queen of horror, and she's like royalty, you know, in this genre. And, you know, I put her up there, man, for like just performers that are like living horror icons right there. You know, right now she's up there with Robert Englund and I guess Kane Hodder and Tony Todd and Brad Dourif and Bruce Campbell. I mean, she's up there with all Doug Bradley, and you know, she's just one of the best. Anywho, I'm glad that happened. I'm glad she has an Oscar. I can't believe she just now got one. I haven't seen the movie she's in that she won it for. I think it's called, what's it called? All the Things, All the Time, all Happening at Once. Is that the name of it? All the Things, Some of the Time, Today, Tomorrow? All the Things, All at Once, Happening. That's its name. That's what it's called. Everything Happening All the Time. Right? No. Everything Happening All at Once. Yeah, that's it. Everything All the Time Happening Today. No. I'll see it eventually. I do want to see it. It looks like a riot. I love Michelle Yeoh too, so I do want to see it eventually. And I love Short Round too. I forget his name, but I love him. And I love the Goonies. So it's up my alley. I'm going to see it. I just can't remember the name. All of the things happening some of the time. Yes, that's what it is. Something happening now. Thank you for listening. If you listened to the scariest movies I've ever seen, you know, I appreciated that. I appreciate you listening. There was a movie I hadn't seen in a while that I put on the list that I still think about all the time. You know, High Tension. I put High Tension on there, and I was like, I haven't seen that in a while, and I'm saying it's one of the scariest movies I've ever seen, and I don't know if that still holds true. So I ended up watching the other night High Tension, and yeah, that holds up. That movie scared the poop out of me again. That's such a legit movie. I still can't believe that movie's from 2003. It looks so fresh and new, and just... It's just such a cool movie, man. And it's 20 years old. I can't believe that movie came out 20 years ago, man. I feel like it's so ahead of its time. It's just a very intense, It's a very tense... It's a very highly tense movie. High Tension. It's highly tense. Yeah, just the performances, the music is great. It's just brutal, man. I know a lot of people, you know, if this is the first time hearing this, or if it's if you've already heard it, maybe this is boring, but some people have said this is kind of a ripoff of a Dean Koontz novel called Intensity. I've read Intensity by Dean Koontz. There's also a TV movie from '97 called Intensity that was based on the novel by Dean Koontz, which is actually a great miniseries. There are several similarities to High Tension. You know, and it's just like, I don't think it ripped it off. There's so many situations that can happen in the horror genre, in a horror story. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that the horror genre, you have a lot of scenarios that can happen in a story, but there aren't many ways in which you only have a certain amount of settings, a certain amount of characters, a certain amount of antagonists, protagonists. You know, there's so much content out there. There's so much stuff being made, whether it's movies or books or comics or games. There's going to be something eventually where there's the right amount of ingredients between characters and setting and actions and the weapons being used or the kills that are being done, or the like certain like just plot devices. Like there's so many different ingredients that all of that stuff is going to be put into a soup that eventually is going to be the same ingredients that was made into another soup that feels exactly like those two things are exactly the same thing. That's just because there's just so many ingredients that you can, like, someone had the ingredients that made cookies over here, and then someone made cupcakes over here, and it's like these are like the same. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is I don't find it unbelievable that there just happened to be another movie called High Tension that's very similar to Dean Koontz's Intensity. I don't think it. In likelihood, it probably did not rip it off. I think it's highly likely that there just happened to be a story with similar characters in similar situations. Because the genre is so, there's just not much. That's not what I'm trying to say, is that there's not much that you can explore, but there's just so much out there. Eventually, you're going to see stuff kind of happen again, and you're going to see shit again, So, it's the same with music. I mean, how many songs have you heard where you're like, I've heard that melody before, and maybe the artist who made it didn't realize that they were using a melody that had been used before. That happens all the time. And sometimes it is intentional. Sometimes you can't deny that something was ripped off from something else. I know people accuse Tarantino of that, and he kind of uses it's all an homage. It's an homage. I don't know. So I'm not gonna say it ripped off anything. But yeah, High Tension's great. I love High Tension, and I love the novel Intensity. Intensity is fantastic, and I love the 97 miniseries. I love it all. So, I said this about The Shining, too. I love the 97 miniseries of The Shining. I love the Kubrick movie, and I love the novel. I love all the things. Differences and similarities and, goofiness and, all of it. I love it all. So, we are diving into our Tubi Tuesday, guys. And, as promised, I said we were going to do Ice Cream Man. Ice Cream Man is a movie that came out in 1995, starring Clint Howard. It's directed by Norman Apstein. I'm not really familiar with his work, but I know this was written by David Dobkin, who went on to direct one of my favorite comedies of all time, Wedding Crashers. I love Vince Vaughn, so I love Wedding Crashers just naturally because he's in it. But I love the director of that wrote this silly ass movie, and I'm I'm so excited to watch it again. Because it's just bad shit. And if you've never seen it before, I'm glad that this is your first time you get to watch it with me. If you've already seen it, hopefully we can kind of laugh along together with just, the silliness and the stuff that you already know is coming. We can kind of anticipate it together. And, this is a comedy. It's not supposed to be serious. I think everybody knew exactly what they were doing. It is listed as a horror comedy on IMDb. So it's all intentional. Everybody, it's a very self-aware movie. There's some good gore in it, the effects, but it's all very laughable. It's not anything serious. I mean, if anybody if a 12-year-old watches this and takes it seriously, and someone thinks that this is like a bad influence on children or something, it's just like, fuck you. This movie's a cartoon. It's just so I love this movie. It's so silly. I've got Dr. Giggles coming in the mail. I got the Blu-ray that was announced. That's another one. I just watched the two Dentist movies, The Dentist and The Dentist 2. These movies, they just rock, man. They rock. And shame on you if you think, that it's weird or, you've heard my spiel on this. So Clint Howard is the brother of Ron Howard. I love Clint Howard. He was in The Dentist too. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's been in a lot of Ron Howard movies. I can't see anyone else playing this role. Nobody in the world looks like Clint Howard. And I mean that as a compliment. He's just a very unique human being. His acting is unique. He's like his face, just his facial expressions are very. Like he was just born to do what he does. This is what he's on this planet to do, is to be in like movies like this. And I just love him, And he seems like a sweet guy. I've watched the bonus features on the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray release. Because you best believe that I own this on Blu-ray. I mean, who are we kidding? It's just a 90s, just goofy classic, and we're gonna watch it. This movie's rated R for strong horror, terror, and gore, and for a brief view of a sexual photo. I can't recall what the sexual photo is. I think it's probably the blonde woman, that is kind of kinky and like very sensual. I believe that's what it is. But strong horror, terror, I don't know if there's a lot of horror and terror going on in this one, but there's some gore. It's all very tongue-in-cheek. I think you'll enjoy it. I'm going to do our typical countdown. This movie is only, let's see, it's an hour and 26 minutes. Not too bad. So, hopefully this isn't too long of an episode when you factor in all my babbling. This is a 4.7 on IMDb. What are we doing, guys? Who are these clowns that do this? 4.7. This movie is like a 7. Come on. Okay, so I'm gonna do the countdown. We'll count down from 3, and then we press play. And then we press play together. I'll do 3, 2, 1, and then press play. If that's cool with everybody. So get yourself all situated. Get your popcorn. Get your drinks. Get your feet up. It is Tuesday, so I know you work today. I don't know if you work from home, if you're in an office, but if you're in the office, if you still got your shoes on, take those bad boys off, man. Take those shoes off. Get those suckers off, man. Take your socks off. Put some slippers on. Get a blanket over you. You got your popcorn. You got your drink. It's still a little cold out there, so, you got hot chocolate. You got some alcohol going on. What do you got going on? I want to know what you're drinking and what you're eating while you're watching this with me. I don't know. It tickles me to know that. All right, friends. I'm going to be doing the countdown, the 3, 2, 1 right now. So let's watch Ice Cream Man. All right, 3, 2, 1, press play. All right, so we see the Double Steen Productions presents. It's not a movie studio that I'm familiar with. I don't, but they probably haven't made anything else. I'm not sure. I shouldn't say that. I don't know. Yeah, Norman Epstein. I should look up what else he's done. I know they've been trying to get a sequel off the ground since like 2014. They tried to do a crowdfunding. They just didn't make enough money, but they're trying to do it again. I would love a sequel to this, man. That would be the bomb diggity. This is like kind of the origin story of Gregory. Gregory gets up to some shit in this movie, man. I noticed that he's blonde here, and then he has dark hair as he's an older person, an older gentleman. I guess that's common with some children. Like, a lot of children are blonde and then they grow up and have really dark hair. Like, I didn't have that. I've always had the same hair. Olivia Hussey, you see her name on the screen there. She was the lead in Black Christmas. Beautiful actress, man. I think she was like in her 40s in this movie. Such a good actress. She hasn't done much. David Naughton, he was in American Werewolf in London. Jan Michael Vincent, he was on a show called Airwolf, which I've never seen. David Warner, you know him. He was the scientist in Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze. If you knew that, I don't know if you guys knew that, but I know that shit because I'm a nerd. David Naughton, though, who was in American Werewolf in London, he seems like a super cool guy. I would love to read, like, the origins. Like, I had watched the special features to this, but just, like, the concept of an ice cream man in the neighborhood. Oh, God, here he is. You didn't say please. This kid standing behind this main kid here is... They make him fatter by putting him... Like, they put stuffing in his shirt. This kid right here, this blonde kid. You'll see, you can't really tell, like, in this angle, really, because it's kind of pointed down, but... They, like, put stuffing in his shirt to make him look fatter. It just keeps live roaches in the ice cream. Yeah, look at this kid on the left, yeah. What is it? What are we doing here? Like, they just, like, put a pillow in his shirt. I like how this Pied Piper book is basically just a movie prop they probably made real quick. I also noticed these 90s movies, like his shirt, the kid's shirt, like and like this Jungle Gym thing, all the colors just really pop. Like, these 90s colors pop. And you don't see that as much anymore. I don't know if that's what it looked like in reality, or if, like, the way the cinematography, or, you know, the way they edited it later is, like, they turn the saturation and contrast up or something. Now, this goofball, he drops this fucking in the sand here. Is this like a joke against fat people? Like, this is how gross fat people are. He's just gonna eat that anyway because he doesn't care because he's fat. Look at him. I love, like, 90s, like, just their just like like their views on what reality is. It's interesting that, like, the core group here, you know, are these little kids. Like, this is the, you know, the main protagonists. You know, but it is an R-rated. It's not meant to be consumed by kids this age. You know, we were all watching this stuff, obviously, when we were 12. I've said before I was watching shit I shouldn't have been watching. Like The Fly, Cronenberg's The Fly, and the Freddys and Jasons and all the Child's Play movies. God, I love those movies, man. But yeah, the concept, it's such a common thing. I like when horror movies kind of take a concept of a common thing in your life. This needle going into his head is just something else. And they're just injecting, like, just green ooze. Anyway. I wish I could just, like... Anyway, so... the concept of... That's David Warner, who was in Ninja Turtles 2. He was also in the original Omen. You ever seen The Omen? Guys, you gotta watch The Omen. That movie's awesome. My buddy Nate recommended that movie to me because I hadn't seen it before. And he loves that movie, and I watched it, and I was like, holy balls. This is a classic. But, I like common things about, like society where, they make a horror movie about it. Because an ice cream man is such a common thing. It drives around your neighborhood. We have one that comes around here. It plays the same jingles, from the truck. And, we see the kids in the neighborhood run up to it with their cash. And, it's so relatable and Americana. And... it's funny they hadn't, a movie about it hadn't been made until 1995. It's kind of funny. You would have thought that you would have seen something like this in the 80s. They could have made something like this 15 or 20 years before, with all, the slasher craze. Here's Olivia Hussey. Are they trying to make her look like she's in her 60s or something? Because she looks, fine. She looks... I mean, if that's what a grandma in her 60s looks like, sign me up. Dinky. I just love his face. I love his eyebrows, his hair. He just doesn't... you can't just, you can't imagine someone like him. He could only be a real person. He's like Steve Buscemi. Or, who's that one guy? He was really tall. I think he passed away a few years ago. He was in... Fuck, what was his name? His name was, Vincent Schiarelli. He was in Batman Returns. I'll get back to that, but this guy... Oh... Look at these colors. I just love it. Just the pinks and the tuna. This guy looks like a Lego person. This guy in the suit, someone that's a Lego hair that someone just snapped onto a Lego head. Doesn't he, though? Like, he does, right? Also, this guy, he just looks like such a 90s douche. Just, his hair is 90s. He looks like he would be an extra on Friends. Maybe not an extra, but like a side character that one of the girls are dating. Olivia Hussey dressed as a nurse. Like, what is this, man? I was, so I'm preparing for this Wishmaster thing with Tiffany, my friend Tiffany, and I'm watching the first one. I'm gonna watch the second one probably tomorrow. And I'm watching it, and there's just like certain moments, like this one that just happened now with the clown and the ice cream there, and it's just like, what? Some of these movies are just so weird, man. Wishmaster has those moments too. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what am I doing? Why do I like this stuff? It's not even like, it's like, I love this stuff. Fish boy. Like, could they not just find like an overweight kid? So they just shoved a pillow in his shirt. I love it. Here's David Naughton. He was in American Werewolf in London. He was also in one of the short films in John Carpenter's Body Bags. I highly recommend that movie as well. He seems like a cool, like... he looks like he listens to Billy Joel. Like, he probably has all the CDs. Like, he probably has a couple of the cassettes in his car right now. Even to this day, he probably has a bunch of Billy Joel CDs. And he's probably into Bruce Springsteen. Doesn't he look like one of those guys? But I mean that in a good way. Like, I bet he's a cool guy. These guys. I think this might be my favorite scene, actually. It's classified ice cream, man. It's classified. Do me 2 scoops. the like, where does he... Everything's just so sloppy looking. The way that it's getting on his hand, everything just looks... Like, I know it's not supposed to look sanitary, but just the way that it's also... It's just... And, like... This is my favorite part of the movie. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, ew. But then watch. But then you're a quick one ice cream man. Like, how can you not know you're eating an eyeball? Like, do you like? I look at my food when I'm eating it, don't you? Like each bite, I look at the food. Yeah, he's looking at it right now. He doesn't see an eye. I love that. Also, that's not how he scooped it out. Oh, it must be a different eye. He's got a few eyes in there. I love it. I just love this. Like, how can anyone ever take this movie seriously? Was there any outrage from people? If there were, I just want to slap them. I feel like these kids had fun. I want to see what they're all up to. I'm going to do some research. I like hearing stories. I was watching John Carpenter's Village of the Damned, which I think is a very underrated Carpenter movie. It actually freaked me out. It's an unsettling movie, and loved it. Christopher Reeve's performance is fantastic in that movie, and Kirstie Alley's good as well. Um, Clint Howard's face, I just can't get over it. Anyway, so I was watching the special features on that, and all the kids, that had played the children, in Village of the Damned. It's just so cool seeing them, like 20 years later, 25 years later, and a lot of them are still friends and still talk, and they have a lot of fond memories of being on the set, and, they talk about how Christopher Reeve was such a cool guy, and, would talk to them, it was just so kind. Like, he really was Superman to a lot of people, and, he was almost like the superhero version of like, Mr. Rogers, you know what I mean? And I love hearing shit like that. But particularly, these kid actors that grow up and they have fond memories. I would love to hear if there are stories like that with these guys in this one. Because everybody had to have been laughing their asses off. What is this green ooze? It's funny. I watched The Dentist, and I watched the a behind-the-scenes interview with Corbin Burnson, and he took that role seriously. And he was talking about, like, his character's motivations, and how he wanted to perform the role, and like he was interested, the depth. This woman, I swear to God. I'm sure. You can have too much ice cream. Maybe you should take that pill out of your shirt, and then it won't be sticking out so far. I love like the soft kind of lighting. Like it's got kind of a hazy quality to it. I've said this before, and I've said it to a couple friends. A lot of these movies feel like this feels like a fever dream. Like this doesn't feel. I feel this way about The Dentist too. Like this doesn't feel like I can't believe people made this. Just the colors, like someone wrote this, like people performed this, and like everything was coordinated and planned, and people bought props. And like it just feels like this big shared like hallucination. Like it's just I don't know. I love it. Just this lighting, like the lighting. Just I know I probably sound like I'm just on LSD or something, but I assure you I'm not. I don't know. There's like an artsy fartsy part of me that just loves like this old kind of. I mean, it's really not that old. It's 25 years ago, but just kind of this aesthetic. How this stuff looks. There's a nostalgia to like this kind of style that. But I'm better now. This kid kind of has like a Macaulay Culkin look to him. Can't he just say that that's like cherry, like syrup or something? Like it doesn't have to be blood. Oh. Also, I love that he looks like Clint Howard's like his costume. I mean, he's dressed like an ice cream man of the day, Little turds. But I like how he looks like an iconic horror, villain. I like that. Like it's plain enough, but he looks like he should be standing next to, like he could be standing next to, like a Pinhead or like a Pennywise or. Those NECA, I think they're called Toonie Terrors or Tiny Terrors. They make those action figures. It's kind of a cartoony twist on horror icons. They make these figures, and I own like 6 of them. I love those figures, man. But they should make one of Ice Cream Man. I would absolutely buy it. Like, you better believe it. Take your shoes off and get that pillow out of your shirt. These camera angles like zooming in on the mouths. Well, like, what is this doing in this movie? You know, there's like certain, like, like it doesn't. I don't know. I love it. Yeah, the NECA Toonie Terrors. I have Freddy, Jason, Michael, Pinhead, and Pennywise. So that's 5. Yeah, I think that's all I have. But I think I want to get Ghostface, but I don't. The figure's kind of weird looking. I don't like the mold they have. But I'll probably get it because I'm an idiot. And I kind of dig the Elvira one too. What is going on here? I forget about this. I might get Leatherface. I don't know if they made a Candyman one. I would love a Candyman one. I love those movies, man. All 4 of them. 3's not great, but the new Candyman was so good, man. Yeah, don't you think he looks like just like an iconic... Like, I would buy a figure of Ice Cream Man. Like, I like that costuming, like his hair. Like, he looks like a very distinct antagonist, you know. And like I said, this movie is very cartoony. Like, that smile. I just love him. And, you know, let's start a petition, guys, for NECA. I think there's a Chucky and Tiffany one. They come together as a NECA, like a double pack for the Toonie Terrors. I want to get those too. Oh, and then the Greedy Twins. I wouldn't mind those. See, I gotta be careful because I don't want to get divorced. You know, if he wants to run faster, he could take that pillow out of his shirt. Yeah, this is a good scene too. Why is she asking him? Nobody... Like... Oh God, this movie rules, man. Where's the fatty? This looks like the set of, like, Supermarket Sweep. That game show. Except I don't think it had carpet. My wife still watches that all the time. I think it's on Pluto TV, that app, Pluto TV. I like them too. They got some bangers on there too for horror. Not as good as Tubi, but yeah, Pluto's not bad. Tubi's always going to be my number one though, man. It's free. It's like, I don't mind the ads. I mean, if it's free, I don't care, you know. It's when you pay for an app and there's ads, I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? You know? Like, I'm paying for it. If Tubi ever goes to like a paying thing and still has the ads, I'm probably going to like organize a. Well, I shouldn't say that these days, huh? Yeah, so his father was the ice cream king. You know, we saw him got shot at the beginning. So Gregory is the ice cream prince. Just want to make sure that we're following along. You know, that we're still understanding what's going on here. Just in case any of you had lost the plot to Ice Cream Man. I like how they call him Ice Cream Man. Got any dogs, Ice Cream Man? So that's Jan Michael Vincent, who was on the show Airwolf, which I've never seen. I'm guessing it's. I mean, I think it was on a couple seasons. I mean, was it good? I don't know. Wasn't there one that was kind of like Knight Rider where... what was it called? It was like a guy on a motorcycle. It was like Knight Rider. Shit, what was it called? Oh. They're gonna piss off the Ice Cream Man. I use it to chop nuts. You know, my wife worked at an ice cream place for like 8 years near her hometown. I should make her watch this, because I think she would do well with this one. I don't think there's going to be any burying her face in my shoulders for this. She's not going to like this movie. She's not going to like it. So I don't know why I would make her watch it. Probably because I'm an idiot. And I just want her to roll her eyes for an hour and a half. And then, you know, just give me the silent treatment afterwards. But she worked at an ice cream place, and I'm wondering if all this equipment is legit. You know, like the movie props they bought, if like this is an actual ice cream factory. I would love to know more. I don't know why I would love to know more, because I'm just a very weird person, and I like reading about the details of, you know, movie making and, you know, just the behind the scenes shit. But I'm curious to see how much of that stuff is like accurate, you know. And if that's weird, you know, I have nothing else going on in my life, man. I mean, I do, but I want to know about all the things about the production of Ice Cream Man, okay? Some guys are into playing chess. But you didn't. I wonder if the dog, if his eyes were in the ice cream that the one detective was eating. I guess they weren't necessarily human eyes, were they? Because he had taken the dog and there's a little bit of a little choppy there. I just shifted in my seat, by the way. I wasn't farting. I know I said that last time. There's something weird going on here? No shit. You might notice that the sound quality on this sounds like the good old days of the podcast. The good old days being 2 months ago. I'm using the old mic I used before I got the new mic that I used in the last episode. And it's just because I'm sitting in my movie room, in my recliner, and I've got the new mic. You know, it wasn't cheap, and but I love it. It's an amazing piece of equipment. It sounds fantastic. But I think for the Tubi Tuesdays, I'm just going to use this crappy one just to kind of hold, you know, in my lap while I'm sitting here. You know, I might try to like figure out a different. Maybe I'll get a better boom mic so it can kind of sit in front of me better, and I can hold the stand. But we'll see. Yeah, sorry that the quality on this one is not like the last episode. But I'll figure something out. You know, it's not. This isn't unlistenable. I figure, right? But yeah, there's probably lots of my P's and my B's are really popping, and hopefully you don't have it turned up too loud. So I give your eardrums a run for their money. Not every day is a happy day. That reminds me of the rant that Chevy Chase has at the end of Christmas Vacation, which I know by heart. We're going to sit down and we're going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap dance with Danny fucking Kaye. Santa waltzes his fat ass down that chimney, his fat white ass down that chimney. He's going to see the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house. This, like, he's so, like, this is so sloppy. Like, it's all over his hand, and now it's all, like, what are we, like, is this how regular people eat ice cream? Because I don't. I'm very weird about, like, being, like, getting dripping, and I don't know. I'll be honest, I haven't, like, gone deep on, like, the story and just, like, you know, the plot and, like, you know, maybe I'll look for the script online. I'm sure the script is out there. I love reading screenplays. I think they're interesting just as, you know, I've dabbled in that kind of writing. You know, I don't think I'm, like, great at it or anything, but I like reading different structures of, you know, writing, you know, telling a story, and I'm sure this would be a fun read. But, you know, I noticed a lot of, there's undertones here. There's some stuff going on here. I would be interested in kind of digging deeper, and because I'm talking throughout this entire thing right now, and I'm sure there's something worth kind of analyzing here. I mean, maybe not. This is Ice Cream Man. But just like the one kid's parents are arguing, she's accusing him of cheating. It's just like, why is that in this movie? And the other one has this, kind of religious fanatic dad with the mom that, is like possessed by the Archangel Gabriel. And, you have the Ice Cream Man. He's got his, his backstory with his father. Like, there's stuff going on with kids and their fathers. There's some, like, relationship stuff going on here. And, it's not supposed to be a deep movie. I mean, this was, like, direct to VHS and small budget movie. I think it cost, like, $2 million to make. Probably not even. But I think I read it was $2 million. And it's like, did they actually sit down and give a shit about the story? Like, did they write a script that had depth in it? Like, I'd be, I me and my friend Tiffany, the other thing that we bonded on, besides the Wishmaster franchise, is, well, she told me about it. I hadn't known about it. This is the cool thing when you meet when you get new friends that are into horror, like you are, and you tell that friend about movies they didn't know about or books, and then they tell you about movies you didn't know about. She told me about this movie called Ankle Biters, and fabulous movie. But there's no depth there. I bet there's no need to sit down and like really plug in, to the movie and like analyze. This is like kind of like a Stranger Things vibe. I know this came out first, obviously, but kids getting. I love things where kids get into shenanigans. Kind of reminds me of like It and Stand By Me. It's a very Stephen King-esque kind of thing. Kids getting into shenanigans. And the Goonies, the new Ghostbusters just did it. I liked the new Ghostbusters Afterlife. I love Paul Rudd. I like these kids though. They look like they had a good time on this movie. And you know what? I think it's time for Ice Cream Man too. I really do. Because, I mean, they just announced another. They're doing I Know What You Did Last Summer. Jennifer Love Hewitt's coming back. Freddie Prinze Jr. is coming back. And, I'm like over the moon about it. It's one of those 90s teen classics, of that era. And I'm going to be there opening night, It's just like Scream. It's because of Scream being so successful again now. They're digging up all these other properties. And, dude, I'm here for it, man. Dig them all up. Dig all that shit up. I think they talked about doing Urban Legend again. They're going to do another one of those. Let's do it. Let's do all of them. I want another Wrong Turn. I know they just did one a couple years ago, but give me another one. Give me 100 of them. I want The Dentist 3 too, man. Give me that. I was listening to I'll give you a little spoiler alert of some episodes that are coming up, but I'm going to do one on my favorite horror podcasts and my favorite like kind of horror YouTube, just content creators in general. It'll be my 13 favorite horror podcasts. But spoiler alert, one of the ones on there is going to be with Gorley and Rust, which is Paul Rust and Matt Gorley, who I just adore. They're two comedians. They were writers for Conan O'Brien, and Gorley is still, I think, a writer on Conan O'Brien's podcast, and he's a contributor, like he's one of the co-hosts. And anyway, him and Paul Rust have a horror podcast where they watch horror movies and just kind of discuss, they do deep dives. And they did one on My Bloody Valentine, the original one, and, they're talking, they were saying they're ready for a new one. Let's reboot that one. Let's do it. I love the 2009 one, but the original is a classic. Let's bring it back, man. God, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I'm all for it. That ice cream looks disgusting. I would not eat that. I'm very plain when it comes to ice cream. Like, if you just give me, like, a vanilla... Just give me, like, 2 scoops of vanilla. I'm good, Mint chocolate chip's okay. I don't like the kind of mint chocolate chip where the chocolate chunks are kind of more... Like... I don't like when they're very, like, chipped and like, I want it like a chocolate chip cookie. I want actual chips. Peanut butter ice cream I'm into. Like Reese's peanut butter ice cream. Like those blizzards from DQ. I've gotten a Reese's blizzard from DQ. My goodness. Like how I said that, like, I've gotten one before. Like, I've only gotten one. Are you kidding me? I've, like, slammed those puppies. I slammed those puppies. What did I say at last episode? I said the word cockamamie. I've never said that word in my life. I don't know why I said it last time. Is that the word? Is it cockamamie? I've never said that. Why did I say it? I like butter pecan too. That's a little bit more of a involved flavor, But yeah, vanilla, I'm good. Chocolate's fine. I used to love strawberry when I was little. I'm kind of take it or leave it now. This is very like this is very like Home Alone. The way these kids are dressed, like they're on like a mission, and they have like all these props and stuff. Doesn't it just feel like, it feels like Home Alone and like the Goonies and just kids getting up to shit, and they're treating it like it's this official. Just this operation. I haven't seen The Sandlot in a long time. I should watch that again. I wonder if it's as good as I remember. I used to love The Sandlot. There's a kid in that. One of the one big kid, he's with the freckles and the red curly hair. Everybody used to say I looked exactly like him, and I never agreed with it. They're like, it's the kid from The Sandlot. I say it in elementary school. I'm just like, well, I don't look anything like that kid. He was also in The Big Green. He was on an episode of the X-Files too. I think it was the voltage one, like EBE, I think it was called. It wasn't the one with Jack Black, was it? It might have been. No, maybe it was. But he was in that soccer movie, The Big Green. I'm like, I don't look like that kid. How dare you? So where'd these kids get these rockets? I just realized they have these fucking rockets. Shooting at police officers. Charles. Okay, so the girl, her dad is the Reverend. I'm just trying to reorient myself here because I kind of went on a tangent. I apologize. She ain't there, Reverend. Oh, yeah, she is. I forgot. Good job. She's sleeping like a baby. She's got black lines under her eyes, like she was just up to some shit. But we are good. He's giving us... I just saw this guy in another movie. What the fuck was it? It was a horror movie. Oh, he was in one of the Addams Family movies. I just watched. I think it was Addams Family Values, maybe. Yeah, he was in it. I like this guy. I watched the Addams Family movies, the old the '90s movies with Angelica Houston and Raul Julia, Christina Ricci as Wednesday. I watched this because I watched the first season of Wednesday with my wife, and I just absolutely loved Wednesday. Jenna Ortega, man, I think she's really something, something special. She's gonna be really something, like a Jamie Lee Curtis. I really think so. Just between Scream and got Wednesday, and I loved X, and what else is she doing? That smile on his face, man. Yeah, so they do have some connections here with the Pied Piper. The Ice Cream Man is kind of a metaphor for that. Kind of. Is that a Grimm's fairy tale? It might not be. No. Maybe it is. Hans Christian Andersen, maybe? Hans Christian Andersen? But that was also an inspiration for A Nightmare on Elm Street. Wes Craven used that as the inspiration for Freddy Krueger, kind of luring children. He happened to use it. Man, the pillow in that kid's shirt, in Tuna's shirt, was really popping out right there. Like, it was funny. This is a good scene. Yeah, this movie has a lot of things going for it. You know, like I said, I think I'm going to hunt down the script and read it. Just as an education, you know. Because I think this stuff's fascinating. And I think I'm rambling a lot, you know, on this Tubi Tuesday just because I've seen this movie at least 4 times, you know, and I love it. That's good makeup. David Naughton seems cool when it comes to, like, he's down with doing the makeup stuff, and he seems like he has a good time. You know, for this effect in particular, like, they had to do a mold of his face, so they probably had to put that stuff on, like the plaster cast on his face, and he was probably cool doing that. And it looks pretty damn good. But, you know, he had to do all that stuff on American Werewolf in London, you know, with the werewolf effects, and those are some of the best effects of all time. I'd mentioned it in one of my episodes. I think I mentioned it in a couple, but his transformation scene, that's like some of the best effects of all time, especially the makeup, and, you know, that takes a patient actor to be in that makeup. And oh, that's the photo that they were talking about at the beginning. Okay, so it's her and him. Or not that they were, I was, when I was mentioning why is it rated R. Interesting. I mean, really what you do, if you're going to do a sequel, because they've said that they're going to try to do the crowdfunding tactic again, like that whole approach. Which, if they do it now, I'm pretty sure. I mean, they tried it in 2014. You know, is that stuff really catching on then? You know, and now this explosion of the genre that's happening. I've mentioned it a couple times, you know, and this stuff comes and goes in waves, but we're at a peak, you know, we're at a high right now in kind of the cycle, you know, the popularity cycle of the genre. And, you know, if they tried it now, I bet they could do it. So they need to do it. You know, and he's what, 30? This was 28 years ago. So, you know, Clint Howard's, you know, you can tell he's a little bit older, and you can tell in the special features on this Blu-ray. But I mean, the sequel writes itself. I mean, he's in a mental institution, and maybe they deem him, you know, he's been there for 28 years, and maybe they do a psychological profile on him. And he's deemed, you know, clear. He can be released from the institution. He's had enough, you know, therapy. You know, he's fit to be a member of society again. You know, you could take it that angle. So he re-enters society 28 years later. And, you know, he just gets up to his old shit again. You know, he decides he wants to become an ice cream man. You know, you could take it that way. Or he's been in an institution for the past 28 years and he escapes, finally. He's been planning it for 28 years. Kind of like a Shawshank thing. He can have a pillow stuffed in his shirt. that he walks around with. This is such a 90s look, man. Both of these detectives look so fucking 90s. He looks like, this one in the front here looks like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon 3. Not his hair, but just that shirt and the jeans, and the shirt's tucked in, and he's got the badge on the jeans, and he's wearing a belt, and the other guy looks like he looks like Nash Bridges, that old Don Johnson show that he did after Miami Vice. He did it with Cheech Marin. I'm just pulling all the references out tonight. I'm sorry. I'm just like a fucking filing cabinet of useless information. This is how I am at work after meetings. I'll find out that there's more added to my plate. I have more tasks that, it's not anybody's fault. It's just because of things, that come my way that I have to get done, And that's pretty much my reaction. This is not a happy day. And then I just giggle, and then I eat a bunch of ice cream. I love this, man. So this place isn't actually operational anymore. It's just kind of it's been taken over, rather. This is it is creepy, but I'm not scared or anything, but it is creepy. It's a good story. I mean, you could, if you even remade this, God forbid, I wouldn't want them to without Clint Howard. God, who could play him in this if they did a remake? His casting is so perfect in this. It's but I mean, you could redo this and really, really do it legit. I mean, it's a silly concept, but it's relatable. It's a thing that people know in real life, that there is an ice cream. Is you could do it. It's not any different than a guy wearing a white mask every Halloween and killing people just on Halloween. And it's you look at Laurie Strode and it's why don't you just take a vacation to Hawaii every October 31st? Why don't you just spend the entire month of October in the Bahamas? Is Michael going to get a ticket to the Bahamas every October? He can't do that. So, I mean, there's silly shit that people look past, that they know it's silly, but they look past it. And you just do that with this too. This guy's good. I love horror, stories involving like asylums. You know, they're not depicted very fairly. I mean, it's not real. I mean, this isn't realistic by any means. I mean, this is like, I would even say it's a little inappropriate and kind of insulting to people with, emotional and mental, disorders and have, depression and anxiety. And, I'm even someone, I mean, everybody has anxiety and depression issues. I have anxiety and, I mean, I am diagnosed with anxiety disorder. I have panic attacks and stuff. So, I say this as someone, I get it. I'm a good person. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I'm one of these people. So, I mean, not one of these people. You know what I mean? So, there's a part of me that's like, the way that this kind of stuff is depicted is not, it's not cool, But having said that, there's, when it's done in horror movies, like Shutter Island, for example, and, it's a good arena to play in for the horror genre. It's a fun sandbox, You can do cool stuff with it. Not necessarily realistically, but I've always wanted to write a story about like an asylum, inmates at an asylum that, kind of take over and, patrolling for tuna. Your ice cream. I actually dig this music. I mean, it's, it's not like, it's not John Williams or anything, but I've actually found myself humming this in the shower before. I was doing that to the dentist theme the other day too. I was humming the theme. Oh, he's gonna mess him up. After he's done being in his Vanilla Ice video. His name's Tuna, and he's not fat. He's got a pillow in his shirt. So. God, what was that show with the guy on the motorcycle in the 80s? That was like Knight Rider. What the fuck was it? It's gonna drive me insane. I'm reclining in my chair, so I can't reach for my phone, or else I'm gonna make a bunch of noise. Hey, I bet they don't stay in the car. So how's everybody doing, man? Are we having a good time? Watching Ice Cream Man? I'm having a blast. I'm loving doing these things, man. I love talking to you. I know I'm kind of talking into the ether, and my wife kind of gets a kick out of it because she's listened to a couple, and she's just like, "You're not even talking to anybody." I'm like, "Yes, I am. I mean, there's somebody I'm talking to. I'm imagining a fellow horror geek, and it's a very one-sided conversation. But, I'm having fun. I appreciate your guys' support, and he shined that flashlight in his face like an idiot. Anyway, yeah, man. I'm having fun. This is all shit, like when I watch these movies, this is all stuff I'm thinking in my head anyway, so I might as well just say it into a microphone and record it. And if you listen to it, that's cool. And if you don't, that's cool too. It's just, this is just my chance for you to get to know me better. And, you already know, like, I'm a writer and ooh, that's creepy. He has creepy eyes. I think it's those eyebrows. And he has makeup too. I know that he's wearing makeup. You can kind of tell in some scenes. But what a natural talent to have, like, such a presence. Just his face. Oh. That's what I call a brain freeze. This score's pretty legit. This movie's pretty legit. Creamsicle? It's gonna be fun. But yeah, sequel, like, he's just, he believes that he has been rehabilitated. He, maybe he gets a job at, like, a grocery store. He gets a job at a deli, or he's in a grocery store at a deli. He doesn't have a job anywhere near ice cream. But, I mean, he is, but he's in a grocery store, like a supermarket. And, I love this. The one on the left kind of looks like Mark Hamill. Or is it just me? Those heads look good. Who did the makeup on this? I didn't see at the beginning. Like, this almost reminds me of like a horror version of like The Mask. Like, just how it's just kind of hyper reality. It's like silly, it's cartoony, the colors pop. This was the year after The Mask, actually. Yeah, this was 95. The Mask was 94. Yeah. Okay. I think Gregory is, I think he's off his rocker at this point. Man, what a cool set. I don't know if I'm like losing my mind, but I mean, this is a good movie, man. I mean, it's a horror comedy. You know, it's not some A24 like we're going for Oscars. You know, like this is. It's like we're just having fun. It's like something that would be like on Adult Swim or something. Like if it were like not quite Tim and Eric. You know, I'm not a huge fan. You know, I mean I haven't really been exposed to a lot of their stuff, but you know I've laughed here and there. But just kind of this surreal, you know, just fever dream. I feel that way about From Beyond. I just watched From Beyond with my friend Brian. Him and his wife were up here again, like probably a month ago. Yeah, we just stayed up and watched horror movies. Yeah, but Stuart Gordon's From Beyond is like. Is that on Tubi? Maybe I'll do one for that. He's getting the ice cream all over his pillow. I like how the blood is just like mixing in with the ice cream, and you guys ever seen Dead Alive with that? Just like the blood getting into the soup, and like it's just gross. I had Dead Alive on DVD, and I got rid of it. I sold it at a place. And it's just like, such an idiot that I did that. So now I have to find it again. It's like $100 on DVD. You can get it, and I'd like to get it on Blu-ray, but that's hard to find too. I love Dead Alive though. That movie's such a trip. It's one of Peter Jackson's first movies before he dove deep into Middle Earth there. Yeah, Olivia Hussey. I mean, she's in her 40s here, Olivia Hussey, and I think they're trying to make her look like she's in her like 50s or 60s. But you know, yeah, I dig this music. Yeah, the music kind of has like a religious like an undertone to it, like a little bit of a choir thing, like a children's choir. And there's children in this movie, and the one kid's dad is a reverend, and very curious. Something about like, you know, like maybe like the sins of the father or something. Like, you know, some of these kids have fathers that are, you know, not too great, and then you see what happens as a result of, you know, Gregory's father. You see what he has become. So as a kind of like a you know, like a cautionary tale for, you know, because there's these kids, you know, and because of how their dads are, they might grow up to be somebody like Gregory. You know, I don't know. It'd be funny if the writers didn't even like think about this at all for a second, and I'm just being like just being a total weirdo, just coming up with stuff. But I mean, the music and there's something going on here. This is so like out of nowhere. Who's the Pied Piper now? Ice cream dick. Sorry, that's my chair. That's not me farting. Your dog's been a little, I hate when animals are hurt in movies, especially dogs, because I love dogs. We have 2 dogs, and, you know, I'd probably die for them. For real. No cap. And, but in this movie, it's just so dumb, and it just looks so fake. Like, I can't, it just doesn't matter. It's when it's done really realistically, I can't handle it. See, all the kids made it. You know, I don't know what they're up to these days, but they can all come back for the sequel. If they're all still kicking around, you know. Maybe one of them's like a CPA or something. Just doesn't act anymore. Oh, and then there's this too. There's this element. What's he up to? I mean, there's so much you can do. You know, he's been affected by this, and see, yeah. So there is something to this. Like, he's affected by the trauma of this, and you see, you know, kind of how history repeats itself, and man, you could do something with that with a sequel. I just said, like, I feel like it writes itself. It really wouldn't be. I'm all for it, man. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but man, it could. Yeah, man. My voice just went up. I don't know why I did that. But yeah, man. Ice cream, man. Did you have a good time? This is one I've been excited about for a while. I know it's only the third Tubi Tuesday, but, you know, it's just such a trip. Okay, special makeup effects designed by Mark Garbarino's Funhouse. I didn't get to see the rest of it, but interesting. I haven't heard of them. Well, hey guys, this was Ice Cream Man. I had such a good time, and you know, if this was your first Tubi Tuesday, I hope you enjoyed it. You know, if you've been with me since the beginning, you know, I've said it, I think, every episode now, and if it's getting old, let me know. You know, because it's mushy, and it's just if it's getting annoying, you know, whatever. But just thank you for your support. Thank you for, you know, hanging out in the Discord and, you know, reading my novella, Disseverment. You know, this has all been very scary. You know, not scary, but it's just been kind of exciting and kind of nerve-wracking. And, you know, I'm glad that I have, you know, friends, people that I can call friends that are with me for this, like, kind of crazy journey, and I have no idea where it's going to go, and, if it even goes anywhere. But just the fact that I have, new friends and people that I can call, supporters and friends, it just means the world to me. And it's like, I don't even really care where it goes. It's just the fact that I have, just the fact that this is like the fact that I am where this is right now, is already enough for me, to be completely honest. So I'm just like having fun at this point, because I'm already, I'm already happy. I already feel fulfilled by the fact that I'm doing this, and that I have all of you guys out there. So now I'm just kind of having fun, and I have so many cool things coming up that, that I'm going to be telling you about. And, yeah, we're going to have some fun times, man. And, I hope you stick with me, and I appreciate how long you've already stuck with me. I mean, it's been, like 2.5 months or whatever. So, yeah. Yeah, man, thank you so much. And, yeah, the next Tubi Tuesday we're doing, it might be the next episode, I don't know, but we'll be doing Wishmaster with Miss Tiffany, and then we'll be doing a franchise deep dive on that. And I think I mentioned I want to talk about my favorite horror podcasts and kind of content creators, whether it be like on YouTube or just Spotify, podcasts, and a lot of those that are just like inspiring to me, that got me, to kind of grow up here and try this out for myself, because it's pretty scary giving this a try, and I'm not gonna say that I'm any good at it, especially if you listen to the first few episodes, and even this one. But I'm getting better as I go along, and I hope I just continue to get better and better, and by the time we get to episode 100, it's like, you probably would never want to go back and listen to these ones. I hope that's the case. But yeah, man, I'll be talking about those. I had some ideas. I was going to talk about kind of horror movies and stories that were based on true events, quote unquote true events. I'm really interested in stuff like that, like the Amityville Horror. I mentioned the Mothman Prophecies recently as the scariest movie I've ever seen. I'd love to kind of do a deep dive into the history of that, with the book. I have the book by John Keel. I read it a long time ago, like when the movie had come out, so I'd love to reread it and kind of dive into that in an episode. And then there's just the stuff with the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren. I know my friend Tiffany is just fascinated by that couple, and they inspired the Conjuring movies, and I think they were involved in the Amityville house. I don't think that's what the Conjuring 2. I can't remember, because that was like 6 or 7 years ago. I can't remember. I've only seen that like once. But I'd love to dive into all those like kind of quote unquote true stories, Annabelle, and there's like Robert the Doll, and I love all that shit, man. There's a movie, Fire in the Sky, I think it's from 1993. If you're into like alien abduction stories, there's this guy named Travis Walton. He wrote a book about his experience getting abducted, and some people think it didn't happen, and but the movie is just like, fuck. It's a scary movie, and fascinating story, and yeah, man. So lots of cool stuff coming up. I can't wait to just share what I have coming up. I have my novel coming up. I know I keep talking about it, but I'm just trying to get the timing right, and I'm trying to make it as perfect as possible, because once I share it, it's like it's my baby, and once it's out there, and so I want it to be as perfect as possible, and I promise it's once it's done, it'll be ready for you, and I think you're gonna really dig it, and I can't wait to talk about it. So yeah, thanks for watching Ice Cream Man with me, and more to come. Yeah, going to Horror Hound, and I'll tell you all about it. And until then, yeah, thank you so much, and hope you have a great week. And yeah, if you're in the Discord, hello everybody. And yeah, if you're not in there, hit me up. Wow. And we'll get you in there, and you know, we can talk and share memes and just be a bunch of silly gooses. All right. See you guys.